What are you laughing about already? We just started.
Welcome to the TG podcast. I'm here
That's
with.
cheesy.
Shut the fuck. What do you mean it's cheesy?
That sounds so bad. Something like, "Hey, welcome to the first TG podcast of the
The
week."
first official TG podcast. We hope you enjoy your stay.
Hi. So, I'm Tony. I like dogs and chinchillas.
Nice.
I guess. I like raunchy comedy.
Hello, I'm Sid, and I make art, and I'm an eggy boy.
Well, I'm Noise, and I'm just a normal person.
Oh my god, that was edgy. Do better
Do
than
again,
that.
Norris. That was
Come
bad.
on, that was horrible.
I'm Sid.
Just-
Oh wait, why did I say I'm Sid? Hey, I'm Noise, and I'm just my. Fuck.
You're gonna have a lot of editing to do.
All right, so we're gonna establish small things in quotations, and establish how we met. So I'm a small streamer, you know. Yeah, I hop on game to game from time to time, but you know, I tend to be a bit more of a VR streamer. So I met Noise and Sid through streaming, and I regret every bit of it. Sid, how did we meet? Because I completely forgot.
I found you through a friend. I went to your stream, and you were playing VR chat, and I was like, "Wow, that looks like a lot of fun." And you're like, "Come join," and I did. It
Well,
was
I
pretty
met
neat.
you and Tony over Trevor. Trevor was the main way I met pretty much everybody through this whole entire group. It was in an open mic night, and Trevor was notifying me that a friend of his was going to join, and I didn't know at the time that it was like your first time actually hanging out together. So I was just like, "Oh, okay." So we sat in the open mic night for a little bit until Trevor decided that he was too drunk, was way too fucking drunk to do anything by himself.
Accurate.
And me and fucking Tony went off on an adventure.
Did we started off in an open mic night, which is a room on VR chat that is meant for basically screaming, the whole loud is funny gimmick. Honestly, I met you, Noise, about fuck, dude. I probably met you like at least a month before I met Sid.
I mean, even though that wasn't really the first time that we actually met, that was kind of actually in a grasslands, like the really nice looking
Yeah.
house.
You came up to me and you called me daddy, and then you said mouth herpes with a voice changer. I'm not gonna lie, Noise, it wasn't a very good first impression.
Yeah, saying, "Hey, wow, it's a Knuckles."
Well, yeah, you seemed like the average Knuckles, and then 5 minutes later, you proceeded to scream at somebody for threatening to crash you. And they said, "Hey, you sound like Swagger Souls," and then you got upset with me. And
Yeah.
it all started from there.
It sounds like noise to me.
So basically, we're starting this podcast. We're going to be continuing every Saturday, Sunday. I wanted to replace these podcasts with weekend streams. Let's say I wanted to do something for myself because I'm starting school soon. I'm going to be doing a lot more. The podcast will be more frequent, and hopefully, after things become more established, we'll have more guests on the show. We'll have more segments. You know, it's going to be we're going to become more creative down the road. But for now, we're going to start off nice and easy. We're going to go over some basic topics. Noise is going to ask you a few questions. Sid is, etc., vice versa. And we'll just continue from there. So I'm going to start off with how we got our names, which is a fantastic topic. I'm gonna go. I'd love to ask Noise because I've been curious since I met you, Noise. You've never actually told me why your name is Mr. Noise.
Well, this goes back quite a while, because originally I had many accounts on VR Chat, which got banned for a certain reason, mostly because I have a bad mouth. But other than that, I was sitting with my friend one day, and I was just like, what am I gonna fucking name myself? Like, I don't know what to do. Like, I'm looking up at these like websites that give you little cool names, and I'm looking at fucking Green Iron Truck. I'm like, no, that's not good. And I'm like,
What?
What do I go with?
Wait, did you say Green Iron Truck?
Yes, Green Iron Truck was one of the top rated names.
It sounds like a pretty good name to me.
Yeah, so I was thinking for a bit, and I'm like, you know what? People are always commenting on my voice, and I'm a relatively loud person, so you know what sounds good? Mr. Noise. So at the time, I kind of thought it was really fucking stupid. I thought it sounded so dumb, but over time, I just started to like it more and more.
It works. It really
It
works. It
does.
works for you especially.
I could never tell that you were loud.
You're gonna-
Would have
Yeah,
never
yeah.
guessed that.
Even after all the times I've screamed in my mic.
You screamed, you crunched, you've done tons of things that were very loud into your mic. You gargled.
Sid, I think I could take a wild guess why your name is Sid. You just spelled it differently. But you know, if there's anything I'm missing, feel free.
No, I'm very boring in this question because it's just my nickname spelled differently.
Your name is Sydney, correct?
Yeah, my name is Sydney, and I shortened it to Sid as my nickname, and then I just changed the S to a C and added a D. I'm very creative.
Well, let's get this out of the way. My real name is Cameron. And, Noise, your real name is
Joshua.
Joshua. So we got Cameron, Joshua, and Sid, a.k.a. Tony, Mr. Noise, and Sid.
Sid the egg.
I've got a, yeah, here's a better question for you. How did the egg come about?
And you're a fucking walking egg with arms, Sid.
The egg?
Yeah.
In high school, me and my friends had to read Hamilton in English class, just like anybody else. And there's that one scene where the guy insults somebody and he calls them an egg. And we thought that was really funny for some reason. And they all started calling me the egg. And they would draw pictures of me as this little Humpty Dumpty looking character with a really realistic face, kind of like what my profile pic is. And I don't know, it just kind of stuck the entire year. They just called me Egg. And it came back up a few different times, but eventually I had a friend make a model in VR chat that's just an egg with arms and legs. And everybody really likes it, so I kept the persona.
As you can tell, we're very passionate about VR chat.
Yes. You could talk about how you got your character, Tony.
Oh, yeah. Well, so the Tony Malone persona actually came about in a little game called Rust. I tend to pretend to roleplay. Okay, I'm not a role player, but there was one day in particular I was on a server, and there was a couple of dudes being toxic in a base. So I took on this accent, and I was just kind of like, "Hey, I'm Tony. How you doing? It's me, Tony. I'm gonna chop down your fucking door with this chainsaw." And they kept telling me my accent was shit, and so I kept it up. That one 10-minute experience turned into this huge thing where I would go from server to server, constantly pretending to be this Tony Malone character, this what Noise likes to call Italian chef. Basically, I'd go and collect goons, and I'd take them on little adventures. I'd try to interact with them, and this actually really persuaded me into getting into entertainment. I created a YouTube channel about, I'd say 3 months later, about Tony Malone and his Rust adventures. And I would just go around meeting new people, laughing my ass off, not trying at all, doing nothing towards the objective of the game. Eventually, YouTube became a hassle, and I decided, hey, I might as well start a stream. Because the Tony Malone persona, the whole point of it was to gather a group of people to have fun and to just mess with different people, to go out and converse, be social with others, make people laugh. I think I just said make people laugh twice. Regardless, I made this streaming community called Tony Gang one day, and it wasn't just me. I'm not even the one that came up with the name. The first time Tony Gang was even created was in a stream of a friend of mine that I used to hang out with, and I used to go into Discord, and everybody began to change their name to Tony. So from there on, this blooming VR chat community started to support me on Twitch. It's been going on for almost 6 months now, which is insane to think about. But Tony Malone itself, I don't necessarily like to think of just as my name, but the label of the community as a whole. So it's a long explanation, but Tony Malone in a nutshell is just one big community that my friends and I have created. I couldn't even name off the people that I really care about, because my entire community I care about so much. So yeah, that would be Tony Malone for you.
No,
That's
I'm
a
gonna be
very
honest.
definite story, Jesus.
Well,
Yeah.
I had to. I mean, nobody knows about it.
Not really. I don't think you talked about that part. The only part I remember is the whole webcomic thing.
Well, the webcomic thing. Oh, dude, Amy made a webcomic it was gonna be a webcomic maybe 4 years ago, and it wasn't even Tony Malone. It was just my friend Zach and I, and we were gonna create all these different characters, and Amy was gonna animate all of it, and I was gonna do voice acting, but it never turned out to be. We had to work. Amy had to move out, et cetera, and Zach and I kind of stopped talking after a while, but now we're kind of reunited. So I don't know. I much prefer the Tony Malone, how do I say it? I prefer the community that we have over just like a webcomic between just a few people. Anyway,
Yeah.
because
The webcomic's more like about the character design, but the feeling behind the character itself would be the community.
Yeah.
I completely agree.
But
Even-
I actually wanted to say that I never knew that's where goons came from. Was you
Really?
playing Rust? No, you never said that before. I just thought you liked calling your followers goons.
That's funny. No, the goons thing was actually accumulated through somebody saying, "Hey, it's me, your goon, Tony. I'm your goon. I'm gonna help you out. Let's go kill these guys down so and so at the beach on Rust." That is. So yeah, no, the goon thing isn't supposed to be offensive. I've had people come up to me and say, "I'm not your goon." I'm just like, dude, it's a meme. It's not real. It's just a way for me to label new members, because the goons are part of the group, and the group is part of the Tony Malone thing. So and Big Boss wasn't a thing, Shot Callers wasn't a thing, the Mob wasn't a thing. All that stuff was created after the Discord. It's funny because we're all really into VR chat now, and I've almost completely forgotten about most of the old Tony Malone characteristics.
Damn. So basically 3 or 4 months ago, I had gotten back into VR chat after it actually started booming up, because I had played it a while back ago. And this was during the time when the Knuckles meme was around, and it was getting pretty dang popular. So I saw it, I'm like, hey, you know what? This looks pretty fun. So I decided to become a Knuckles. But in this case, I wasn't going to be one of those stupid Knuckles that went around saying, hey, do you know the way? Hey, do you know the way? Except I was going to be the smart one. I was going to be the classy guy. I was going to be the one that was the coolest on the block. So I went around for a bit, and I just go and chill with people, and everyone would get really upset because they said, oh, it's the fucking Knuckles again. Except this time they were surprised when they saw that I wasn't who they thought they were, or who I thought I was. So in that case, it kind of just evolved over then, because a bunch of our friends within the community had started making these avatars, which I saw were fitting my role more and more in my sort of persona.
I think you should honestly talk about the Sonic specifically, because that's the one you use the most.
Yeah, the Sonic. I feel like the Sonic fits me so goddamn well.
I agree.
I don't know what it is. If it's just like the voice or the personality that I have, because I don't know. Just seeing a little fucking blue Sonic that's waddling around because he's so fucking obese is just the funniest shit ever.
It's iconic. People recognize you for your Sonic when they first see you. Your voice that you have is just an add-on, and that's the same thing with Sid. Sid has this this egg mascot, and it's brilliant because not only are people attracted to the egg character itself, but once you begin to converse, it's just a whole nother level. You take it up a whole notch. It's
Yeah, a pretty big
hilarious.
experience.
I love
I
it.
think it's absolutely perfect that the Vizims cause the egg to expand and contract when I talk because it's just perfect. It just adds another layer to the whole thing.
Yeah. How, when, and did you practice to accumulate such a deep voice that you have currently?
Well, first off, let's establish my age. I am 16 at the moment.
Which is crazy.
Yeah. I don't know. It was during middle school. It was one night when I was helping my parents with some errands around the house, such as like doing the laundry and cleaning the dishes. I was helping them, and I was finished. And I was like, I'm all done, Mom. And I went to bed. The next day I woke up and I was like, hey, is everything done here? And I was so fucking confused.
Oh my
It just
god.
like it dropped my fucking voice like way farther down, and I was
Your
so
voice isn't
fucking
the only
confused.
thing that dropped overnight. Jesus.
That's true. And
You just wake up one day with a deep voice.
I was so afraid to go to school because I thought that people might think that I was a weirdo for something for having such a deep voice and such a small body. And I just didn't really want to do it. But over time, I was just like, you know what? I can turn this into something. I can make something out of this. So I spent a whole fucking summer just training my voice and just learning how to like use inflections and practice how to do scripts and something. Like I'm really like passionate about doing voiceovers and doing like radio and announcing and stuff like that. So
I love that.
that's kind of how that voice came to be.
Listen, you have got so much potential, especially being 16 years old. You could take off to be beyond the limits of even what I can imagine. I think when you turn 18 or when you're 19, whatever, when you move off to college, you should definitely try and pick up some sort of voice acting or theater and arts speech courses to evolve your voice even further than where it is now. I could only imagine where you could be when you're in your like mid 20s with what you could do with the voice that you have. Radio, podcasts, whatever, man. I mean, you've got so much potential, especially being so young.
Well, even with this voice that I'm using now, because I didn't always sound like this. Like you even seen the teaser. Like when I first met Tony, the one where I'm the Knuckles, I was trying my hardest to have like this very inflective voice, and it didn't sound natural. I mean, at the time it did, but when looking back at it, it just doesn't sound the same. And people were like, we get compared to Swagger Souls all the fucking time, and it's stupid because we sound nothing like him. And I got so fucking caught, like, so mad about that I just decided, hey, you know what? One day I'm just gonna completely flip my voice like that, and wouldn't you know it, it finds out that it's more comfortable to talk like this than it is in my normal voice.
But guess what happens? People still compare us to Swagger, so
Yeah, I
it
mean,
didn't do a
let's
whole
talk
lot.
about maybe 15 minutes ago.
Yeah, everybody compares this.
What
to you.
what I will say is I appreciate Swagger's voice. It is unlike any other voice, right? It is
Yeah.
it is very unique. I've been watching Swagger for a very long time. Swagger is actually one of the reasons why I learned to speak more clearly and to practice enunciating most of my words. I'm trying to broaden my vocabulary as well. He's a big motivation for me. I don't know about you guys, but he really made me step up when it comes to speaking and socializing with others. He's a fantastic YouTuber. He's very creative. He's very funny. Even if I don't watch him as much to this day, I will go ahead and say, in retrospect, that I did look up to Swagger for a big portion of my, I would say my 20th year. I watched him a lot. Fantastic, funny guy. You guys watch Swagger, right? I'm not the only one.
All the time.
Yeah, I
Of
mean,
course,
At a
It's-
point, I was trying to impersonate him because I had such a similar voice to the guy, and I was like, okay. But people started coming up to me and they're like, "Hey, your video saved my life," and I get super guilty because
Yikes.
I know that I'm not the person, and then it gets super awkward because I don't know what to say. And
Yeah.
then I look back at it and see how stupid it was for even doing that in the first place.
I mean, we're all we all get carried away sometimes. I would say that it's, you know, at least you're able to recognize it and see the issue and pull right out of it. That's not on you. I mean, there is one time in particular where Noise and I were in a VR chat room, and this guy comes up, and he comes up to me and goes, "Hey, you sound really familiar. You sound like somebody I know." So I point to Noise and I say, "This guy's Swagger Souls."
Not even that, you're like, you were in Discord and you're like, "Noise, help me."
Well, you know, yeah. Listen, the guy comes up to Noise and he goes, "Oh my God, is it really you?" And Noise looks at me and he goes, "Fuck you."
Dude, I get such a fucking bad guilt trip out of it, even if I'm not even trying to impersonate the guy, because it just makes me feel so guilty for no reason.
Yeah, no, I understand. I thought it was so funny because even after we convinced him that you weren't Swagger Souls, he still would follow us from room to room.
It was like, even though we said it, he thought that we were trying to just get him to believe that I wasn't, even though in his head that he thought I was.
I've had a couple people like that, especially recently.
In CS:GO, probably you guys get a lot of shit, right?
Dude,
We get a ton in CS:GO.
no, Sid is like me when we're in VR chat. That's where it happens to him.
Yeah.
It's just all the little children.
Well, not just that, but
always little children.
your voice comes through the intercom differently. You know, it's a lot shittier of quality. So when Sid speaks through CS:GO, I'm really not surprised that people would automatically be like, "Oh, that's Swagger. It's got to be Swagger." You know. So, I don't know, that's just my opinion.
I've noticed before that sometimes when I get really excited, I'm a little bit closer. Like if I have a lot of excitement in my voice, it changes a little bit and I sound more like him. But when I'm talking normally and I'm calm, I don't sound like him. I really, really don't.
Right. So I've got a question for both of you, and that would be: do either of you look up to anybody in particular, whether it's a family member, media star, any celebrity, whatever?
Oh, I have to think about that.
Oh, hell yeah.
Who is it?
Dude, that would have to be my father. And I don't know, for the longest time, I just thought what my dad was doing was so cool. And he's such a good parent as well, because what he does is such hard work and such hard labor on his body that the fact that he's doing this for the family and that he's continuing to do it, like, this is past like what people should normally be doing. It's like literally the backbone of a company. If he gets fired from this job, then the whole company is going to fall apart.
Wow.
Nobody knows what they're doing, and that's really cool to me because he's been doing this for such a long time. Because his passion, it may seem like it's not that hard of a job, but he repairs hoists and cranes, and he goes into these companies and fixes them for other people. I don't know. I just look up to
Really?
my father.
That's crazy. Well, that's good, dude. That's awesome. It's always good to look up to a father figure. You know, it's. I have respect for that, 100%.
Yeah.
What about you, Sid?
I don't know. If I had to say, look up to somebody, I really, really like a lot of the people that inspired me when I was younger to get into art in the first place. Like, some examples would be people like Oni and G and Sagic Pebbles, people like that. Mainly the original Newgrounds artists, right? All the animators from the old days.
Right.
Like Scamper and Rice Pirate, whoever you might think.
Yeah.
I used to always follow every single one of them. I still follow a bunch of them on Twitter and all sorts of stuff. whenever I had to deal with stuff as a kid, or I felt really lonely, or there was a lot going on, I would always use cartoons and animation and drawings to help me out, and voice acting as well, because it was always something that was a really nice way for me to vent. And I don't know. I don't really have anybody that I know personally that I could say I look up to or I aspire to be. But if I had to pick anyone, it'd be all the artists that I've found over the years that I really look up to.
So you would probably say that you watched Oni and G, Stamper, all those animators. Those are probably the media stars that you looked up to the most, anyway. Because that was going to be another question: is what social media stars did you watch or pay attention to? So I'm going to assume
Absolutely, it'd be all those types of people.
That's
And
awesome.
That's one of the reasons I love Sleepycast so much, is because it's like all those artists coming together and talking with each other.
Mhm.
They're all hanging out as friends. It's pretty great.
Right. Yeah, I can agree. I enjoyed watching a lot of Oni and G videos back in the day. My friend Zach turned me onto them. What about you, Noise? Do you have any social media stars in particular that you watched or pay attention to when you were younger, or even today?
Not too long ago, I would say about 4 years ago was when I actually first got internet. Well, not first got internet, but first got into like YouTube. That's when I found it out. And at the
Interesting.
time, I had found somebody by the name of Vanoss. And I don't
Oh,
really watch him anymore.
I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, but I started watching his vids and I thought he was the coolest person ever. I was like waking up just waiting to see a new video from him. And I just always want to see the next video. And that's how I got connected to all his other friends. Like H2O was the next person I got to start watching. And then went Moose Knuckle and then went full circle.
That's awesome, man. I've watched some H2O Delirious, not much, but for me, the one person I used to look up to a lot growing up would shoot, man. Do I really have anybody that I used to watch Markiplier and PewDiePie a lot when I was
I
younger?
used to watch both of them, dude.
Yeah.
I watch Jacksepticeye still because he's just so wholesome.
Yeah, see, they've got good attitudes. PewDiePie has really changed over time. I think he has great morals. He's very humble. He doesn't flaunt the money he makes off. He's creative. He has a good editor. I can't say anything bad about him. His old content is different. I wouldn't say his new content is more evolved, but I wouldn't say it's any worse. Because over time, you have to learn to change your content.
Yeah, I'd say he's grown as a person because when he very first started, his humor was very childish. But I liked it because I was a child. at the
Exactly.
time.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
I
it
was like
feels It
15.
feels like I grew up with the guy because I grew up
Yes.
watching him.
Exactly.
People like that, it's not just him. Like just like I was saying with Oni and all those guys, it's like I watched them since I was a kid, and now that I'm older, it's like they grew up. My voice.
Don't worry.
Oh,
we all get a
man.
little bit of stage fright.
Oh, yeah. Insert clip.
No, they grew up as part of my life, so I consider all their channels and videos very near and dear to me.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. I see. I feel the same way. Markiplier being another one. I watched him mainly for his points of view on life and how positive he was towards people with depression, anxiety.
Him and Jack especially.
They're huge supporters of the depression scenes and the anxiety scene, because they've both been through some pretty shitty times, and I can admire them for the way they've been able to pull through it and be so positive about all these situations that they've been in the past. So on to the next topic that I have. Noise.
Okay. Come on, go ahead.
I wrote this in all caps. Why is Noise so willing to spend money on a Roblox game? Hold on. What is Noise's favorite Roblox game? And what is Blammo? in all caps, all bold italic.
God.
What is Blammo?
I'd love to hear about this. Yeah.
Please elaborate.
Okay. So Why did I spend so much money? That was $200 to be exact. Well, first off, I've been playing Roblox
$200
since,
fucking dollars on Roblox.
yeah, and it was
Yeah, and it wasn't your money either.
Oh
So,
yeah,
I
explain
don't
yourself,
feel bad
Noise.
about it.
Explain yourself.
Okay,
Ask him how you got that
okay,
$200.
It was 2000 and well, not 2008. It was more like 2012 when I spent the money. I stole my mother's credit card and bought $200 worth of Robux on it. And looking back at it, I know it sounds scummy, but I really don't feel bad about it whatsoever.
Yeah, because you got your Robux.
Yeah.
See, the thing is, I can't talk too bad at him because I did something similar when I was younger. But I didn't
Sid.
steal anything. The
What?
the card was already on the account, and I didn't. Well, I realized what I was doing. I completely realized what I was doing. I was on Xbox 360, right? And I went onto the marketplace,
Oh no.
and there were some tantalizing looking games on that marketplace. And there was a card already connected, so I downloaded some games. I felt horrible about it afterwards, but I still played the games.
Jesus, Sid. You're a fucking juvenile. You were a juvenile.
Yeah, I was, but I was so young. I didn't understand why I understood what I was doing. No, I can't sugarcoat it. I was just a little rat.
A little rat. I think that we could all
Just a little
we can all
rat
describe
stealing
ourselves
money.
a little bit of rat blood. Sorry, I had to hiccup. Okay.
So, going on from that, you said what was my favorite Roblox game?
Yeah, what is your
Oh my god.
And then what is Blammo?
It isn't that funny of a
Blammo.
question because there's actually a couple of games I really enjoy that I shouldn't have as
Of
much
course you
time.
do, you Roblox fiend.
For the record, I despise Roblox as a whole. Continue.
Yeah, you know, you get super pissed off at it.
No, it's because you tell me to stream it every 5 minutes, and then I stream it with you, and you sound like when you play Roblox, you're like a little kid. You're like, oh, those are my Robux, or you're like, that's my fizzy drink Roblox hat.
Okay, so my favorite overall game. Oh man, I'd have to say Robeats, honestly, because I've put
Oh,
a
yeah.
lot of time into that game. I've
Robeats.
streamed it a couple of times.
What the hell is Robeats?
I
It's the fucking Dance Dance Revolution ripoff of Guitar Hero for
Are you
Roblox.
serious?
That's what
I
it
mean,
is.
it's fun, dude. It's very fun.
It's like Beat Saber with your fingers in Roblox.
Yeah, dude. It takes a lot of dexterity to get really. good.
Oh yeah, a lot of
A
dexterity.
lot of dexterity,
I bet.
alright. How about you play
Okay.
Beat Saber and get back to us?
What
Well, I
is
can't.
Blammo, Noise?
How do I even fucking describe this?
You're the
You
one
would
who
have to,
plays it.
Like,
Alright, let's be fair, Tony. We've watched him play it before. and
Yeah,
we
yeah.
didn't
Dude,
understand what was going on.
I have I have a 20-minute video of him playing Blammo.
you know what? Here, take the mind of like a 3-year-old child and merge it with like an artist, and that's what you
What?
come out with.
What do you mean, an artist?
Art is interpretive. Okay.
Oh my god.
Noise.
Okay.
If you're talking about the mind of an artist, you're talking about the mind of a really, really messed up abstract artist of some kind, because that is like a
Scratch
weird
that,
fever
scratch.
dream of a game.
No.
It is a fever dream
Take,
of
Low
a game.
blows.
the mind of a child and then mix it with the fucking person that's on acid, and there you go. You got fucking.
That
That would
is
be-
more
That would be a
realistic,
child on acid. What are you talking about?
I never. Hey, we're trying to be kid friendly here, okay? Well, I mean,
Child
We're
on
gonna be
acid?
kid friendly. You said that word like multiple times already.
in the sense of saying innocent to the.
Yeah, in a
The
sense.
word
Yeah, there you go. Okay. On to the next question. Noise. What's the most fun you've had in VR chat?
The most fun that I've ever had in VR chat.
The most fun you've ever had in VR chat.
God. Honestly, if I'm being serious, it was probably your second 24 hour. I had a lot of fun on that.
That was fun. That was a good one.
It really was.
You were chasing me
Especially
around.
during the end when everybody was screaming.
Yeah. Oh my god, that was hype as fuck, man. Oh my god, I couldn't describe a more fun, more interactive time we had with our community during that.
More emotional, aka Tony is a fucking crybaby.
Oh my god. Sid, what's the most fun you've had in VR chat?
Yeah. I'd have to think about that because usually just hanging out with you guys is pretty fun. I think it'd probably just be the very first day that I got into VR.
I feel that. I feel that 100%.
It's really just nothing like it the very first time you get to experience it.
That's interesting, man. It's funny that you say that because the first time I experienced VR, I felt like when I looked down at my body, I felt like I could feel my arms in VR. It felt like my whole entire body was
Exactly.
in, sort of like, you know, like in a science experiment where you stick your arms through a latex glove. It's the same kind of, it's like a simulation of having goggles on and you're looking through a scope of what something could be. So it simulates basically looking through or staring through a looking glass and throwing your arms through a latex glove and not being able to feel anything that you're touching.
Yeah.
But the first time I played VR, I ended up playing catch with somebody and I fell and I got so embarrassed that I just got off while I was on the ground.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. Have you guys ever like fallen down in VR like on accident?
Yeah.
Oh, you don't remember?
No.
If you remember, that one time, the very, very first time I tried jumping on a map that you could jump really high in, you jump in the game and you jump in real life at the same time while looking down. As you fall, it's so hard to keep your balance. So the first time I ever tried that, I remember you laughed your butt off because I smashed into my computer when I fell.
Sounds like something I would do.
The one time I fell was when we were on the skyscraper map, or no, the penthouse at night. We have a clip of that.
Oh yeah, from the teaser.
Oh yeah.
You were trying to tell me to walk off, and I was like, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna jump as soon as I'm falling off. And you see me fall down, and I'm like, oh my god! And then I ended up fucking smashing my head into the floor
Oh shit.
because it scared me.
Okay,
so
you're
much.
gonna make me feel bad. Don't do that.
Really, it's hard to pinpoint one time where I just had more fun than any other in VR chat. I think the first week of VR chat was so much of a blast, it's hard to remember any other time that was that fun. Because in that 1 week, not only did I meet you guys, I get to experience VR for the very first time, because VR chat is the very first game I loaded up with my VR when I got it. And it really, I started to realize how I started to get so much more social as soon as I put on the goggles and I started going around the world, seeing people talking. And for the first day, I didn't talk at all. I was a complete mute because I was so anxious. It felt like there was really people all around me, and it felt so real. And
I
then,
second that.
yeah. After a while, I started to come out of my shell a little bit, and I started talking to people. But it wasn't until I met you guys that I really, really started to get a ton more social around everybody, because the whole community was just so nice, and everybody really welcomed me almost immediately. So it's really great.
Yeah.
Well. Oh fuck. You guys like Whoppers?
Yes, Whoppers are very good.
I've said this before, but I definitely prefer Wendy's.
No,
Like Whoppers,
not
like
not the
candy.
fucking burger.
What do you mean?
The candy. I prefer Wendy's.
The Whopper. Oh, the chocolate malt balls. Okay.
Yes.
Yes, I do like Whoppers. I thought you meant the burger. I was gonna say I prefer a Baconator myself.
Yeah.
Wendy's is the bomb.
I think we all agreed to that before. That
Yeah, Wendy's is
the
great.
Dude, I'm obsessed with Wendy's, which fits my persona even more because,
best.
you
You're
know,
a fat
Wendy's
little
has
John.
chili dogs.
You guys continue. I'm gonna get some cereal.
Yeah, sure. Granola bars are healthy, not dipped in chocolate.
I'm back with cereal.
Yeah.
Nice. We have a couple of questions lined up.
All right, Noise can start. So, one guy you guys into video games?
Oh my God, I've got a great answer for that. When I was younger, I used to play PC games before I even had a PS2. I used to play games on my computer called Pajama Sam. I think it was Freddy Flounder. Can't remember the name. Putt Putt.
Dude, I know what you're talking about. I had those.
You know Putt Putt.
Punt Punt was good.
My dad used
Yeah,
to
I
take me
remember
to Staples, and they sold these like variety gaming packs, and they had like CDs like Pajama Sam 2, Putt Putt, Spy Fox, all those games. That's what really got me into gaming as a kid, and from there on, my dad bought me a PS2 for my birthday. I played a ton of games like Spider-Man, old Spider-Man games for one. I played a lot of Spyro. A lot of Spyro was my favorite game.
I loved Enter the Dragonfly. That one specifically. was
Fantastic, yes. Oh my God, yeah. From there, I got a GameCube. Played Resident Evil 4. It was my first game I ever played on GameCube. Mario Party, Mario Kart, stuff like that. That was how I started. How about you guys?
Oh boy, do I have one for you. So, maybe when I was about 7, 8, maybe so. My dad came home one day with something called a penguin. A penguin was like a Japanese knockoff console, which had a bunch of like different titles of games from different.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
And it had like Mario, Contra, you know, Sega, Sonic, stuff like that. So basically, I spent pretty much every single day downstairs in the unfinished part of my basement on this little glass screen TV playing on that penguin. I got really upset though when the controller broke. So that's really what got me into gaming. How about you, Sid?
Penguin.
It's been so long since I thought about this, but what Tony said actually triggered a memory because the very first games I played technically were like those little learning games on PC that, you know, teach your kids how to learn how to spell words and
Same.
stuff, learn the alphabet, things
Oh
like
my
that.
God, same, yeah.
The very first game that I ever played was on a really old, crappy computer that my grandpa got me. And you'd play as this little frog, and it was basically like Frogger, but to move, you had to type the correct word as it came across the screen or something like that. Or type the right letters to spell out the word, something along those lines. And those were the first games I played. But the first real game I played was Ratchet and Clank on the PS2. It was my dad's PS2 and his game. And it's the very first game that I beat all on my own. And he got me my own PS4 because I loved it so much. And he got me all the different Ratchet and Clanks. I love playing Jack and Daxter and stuff like that as well when I was younger.
Mm-hmm.
And Ratchet and Clank was the very first game I just ever beat on my own. I didn't need anybody's help. I got the Rhino on my own, everything like that. And I always felt really accomplished about that.
Yeah.
So I'm drinking my cereal milk currently.
Yes, that's very good.
Please
Yeah,
ask another
PS2
question.
Definitely.
Did any of you guys play sports as when you were young?
Not really. I played some. Well, okay. When I was a little kid, I played some baseball. I played some soccer. I played football in high school. Not much of it. I only played a couple of years. But no, not really. I wasn't much of an athlete.
What about you, Sid?
I've always said this before, but I used to do karate, but I actually ended up doing it for
Oh.
almost 8 years. I started when I was 7, and I stopped when I was around 14. And I did end up getting my black belt. I even got up to second degree adult black belt because I did it for so long. But
Wow.
I don't know. After a while, I just stopped liking it. Your body starts to wear down on you if you do it for too long. Because like my elbows would always hurt really bad every day after I'd come back from it. My knees had hurt, all my joints and stuff, and it just wasn't
Yeah.
fun for me anymore. So, and really the only fun thing about it most of the time was the sparring when you got to put on gear and fight like it's MMA or something. But I don't know. It kind of lost its spark after a while, so I quit.
Speaking of which, you kind of triggered a couple of other ones, like when we were talking yesterday about this. I started off basically what I'm doing now, which is dancing. I used to do tap dancing when I was like 3 to 5. I did that for a little while, and I quit when the teacher said that we were going to be doing hip hop. And instead of doing hip hop, she said no, we weren't going to do hip hop, and I got really upset and quit. So.
Oh.
A year later, so I got into karate, like what Sid said, and I did that, and I made it to yellow belt, and then I
That's
quit.
your second belt.
Yes, and I quit.
You get that after 3 months, Noise.
Holy cow.
And then maybe about a year or so later, I ended up going into t-ball. You know,
T-ball?
I-
Oh, yeah, no, T-ball. That's what I played.
Yeah, and I did that for a little while until I got into actual baseball, where instead of the people, the little kids throwing it, we had like the coaches throwing the balls, and I was good at it. I was on. I have a little trophy up on my shelf still from like 2009. One day somebody threw like a fucking 40-mile-an-hour fastball at my face and hit me straight in the eye, and that's
Yikes.
when I quit that. I think maybe 3 or 4 years later, I ended up getting into soccer. Soccer was fun. I enjoyed soccer. I had a couple of really bad people on my team, though. There was a kid that was afraid of the ball. He'd always run away when you passed it to him. And then there was this really big guy. You would expect him to be good, like, but he was like a gentle giant because he'd never go towards people. After that,
We
I
had some
quit
kids like that.
Yeah, I quit that, and then I came into dance again, back into dance. And after watching my sister dance up at this one stage at a park, I'm like, you know what, I want to do that. And so my mother took me up to the male coach that was doing the boys hip hop team, and I'm like, hi, how do I do this? And he's like, well, if you try out for the team, hopefully you'll make it. So I did academy for a couple of years to gain up my skill, because you can't just go into a tryout expecting to make it if you've had no previous skill beforehand.
Right.
So I did that for a couple of years, and then I finally made it on the team. And I've been doing hip hop for about 6 years. I can send you a YouTube video that shows a little bit ago from like 2014. Do not judge me. The songs are outdated. The moves are really bad, but it was what it was.
I mean,
Uh,
you're pretty damn good for your age, man.
Yeah, that went on for like a couple more years until the team sort of fell apart and the tuition rates got way too expensive to go. I'm talking like $180 a week.
Holy shit.
And that's when I decided, you know, that's enough. We're going to switch companies. And I went to the one that my sister was going to, which is Be Inspired Dan. This leads up to now. And like a couple of months ago, I was like, you know what? I'm not just going to stay strictly to hip hop. I'm going to try, I'm going to see if I can try out for the senior team. And with that comes an obligation that you are basically told that you're going to be doing more than just hip hop. You're going to be doing ballet, lyrical, contemporary, jazz, all that stuff.
You just have to be flexible,
And
I see.
so, yeah, you know, I've been basically stretching every day because I have to get my splits. I can do
That's
a middle
fucked.
split. I can actually do some of my splits, which is insane.
Flexible boy.
Man, dude, I can't do splits for the life of me. I'd fucking break my dick.
Dude,
It puts so much strain on the inner part of your thighs.
I know what you mean, dude. I
Yeah.
did karate for so long, dude. We always had to do, you know about karate stances and stuff. You have to get pretty low. You have to keep your weight dropped, depending on the stance, below your knees sometimes, and it's really, really hard on your legs. But it makes you super flexible. So there was at one point where I was actually able to completely do the splits, and it was so it strains your legs so much. It's so uncomfortable. I hated it.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot to mention before T-ball, or no, after T-ball, I did gymnastics for like a year or so. I ended up quitting that because I had sprained my knee, and I had really ruined my knee for like the longest time. And
Yikes.
that's when I was like, you know what, that's enough. And I didn't even get my crutches that day. I had to wait a whole week, so I was just dragging myself across the floor because I couldn't walk properly.
Noise.
Yeah.
Let it be known that you died in Rust.
Did I?
Yeah, and I don't know if your stuff's despawned by now.
Fuck.
But your
It was
body is...
probably because I was dehydrated.
Are you still on?
Yes, I am.
All right, just wake up and find your body. Anyway, go on with your questions.
My next question was, what childhood injuries have both of you had?
Damn, childhood injuries? Besides throwing my underwear around my living room when I was 5 and smashing my fucking head against a glass table, other than that, nothing really.
You've never broken any bones?
I have never broken one bone in my entire life, let alone the closest I've come to even, involving a bone is when I scraped my knee so bad on a concrete sidewalk that you could see my kneecap, like the legitimate kneecap.
Ooh.
Yeah, it basically was just a really fucked up rug burn. So we're going to be ending the segment there. And we're going to continue to do these podcasts, hopefully every single Saturday, put them out by every Saturday. We're going to have some guests on soon. I can't guarantee that it's going to be in the next week, but in the next couple to few weeks, we're definitely going to have some more VR chat guests on, maybe some other people. We'll see what's going on. Thank you guys so much for watching. We have a ball doing these, and we hope it takes off and we can do more and experiment with it. Is there anything you guys want to say before we head out?
Hopefully the next one won't be as creepy. We can do more lighthearted things.
Yeah, and maybe I can actually get some sleep tomorrow before I have to go to work.
Anyway, so we'll stop it there. Thanks for watching. If you guys liked this video... No, I'm kidding. I'm just going to end it there.